Ow. I know that some of you think that that sounds really, really good right now with the burbles and the little pops that it does, but it is so stupidly loud. Like it's fun to hoon around, and sometimes it's fun to just be that guy to floor past everybody at like a billion decibels, but that's not always the situation. And this is like my daily driver. Everybody knows me as the guy driving this car, and I don't always want to be the guy pulling up with that tin can ricer, just bling, bling, bling. Like sometimes I want a stock sounding BMW, because that's kind of what I bought. I will be putting the stock headers back on her today. Yep, the catted, super restrictive, heavy, disgusting stock headers. And I put in like 7 hours of work to have those back. Thanks. And I'm gonna show you how to undo every single bolt, how to do every single step, so that you can do it just right and not mess it up like I did the first time. I think y'all know what it's time for. It's time to make my baby quiet again. I went ahead and jacked her up. I didn't want to put this part in the video because it would take a while. And you can just go ahead and watch my how to change transmission and diff fluid video, where I do show how I jacked it up. Once you got the car jacked up, the first step is to clear the engine bay a little bit so we can actually kind of get in there and actually get to those nasty header bolts. So let's do that. You just want to pop the hood, and then we're mostly going to be working with this side right here. Okay, so the very first step will be to take off the strut brace right here. After that, we'll take off both of these engine covers, and then we just need to get rid of the secondary air pump and the windshield wiper fluid reservoir. And then we should be able to access the top line of header bolts, which are right in there. So I'm just gonna undo this bolt on both sides of the strut brace, and that should let me take it out without having to take off the whole mushroom tower cover thing. Just gonna go ahead and slowly undo that on both sides. Next, what you'll want to do is open the oil cover right here, set that to the side, and then we're gonna pop this little cap off and this little cap off. And these are the other caps right here. Come on, there's one. For this part, you can just use a little flathead, and then if you kind of shove it in there like this, then you can just kind of push on it and they'll pop the cover right out. Hopefully, yep. And then there we go. And all 4 of these will be 10mm bolts, so go ahead and undo those. Perfect. Grab my 10mm shallow right in here. And then I will pop this one off as well. Just wiggle it a little bit. And it should come right out. There we go. And then go ahead and put the actual cap back on there as well. Okay, now we're ready to take out the secondary air pump right here and the windshield wiper fluid reservoir right here. I'll just grab the same 10mm as we had before and undo this little bolt right here. And then all the electronics and everything to do with it are going to be located right here. And all you have to do is kind of twist and pull, and it should somehow come out. I just spilled a lot of the windshield wiper fluid. Okay, I guess there is another connector right at the bottom right here. I just poured water all over that. Oh, that's so gross. Okay, so make sure you don't flip this upside like the other way, otherwise the water will start coming out of this hole right here. Next, we're taking out the secondary air pump, also known as the SAP. The first move is to pull this little guy back a little bit off of its little mount, move that over, and then unplug this wire right here. And then now that this is loose, I think we can pop this off by just squeezing it. Yep, so we got this part popped off. Next, we want to pop this hose off. Same thing, squish it. Ugh. You squish it and just pull it off as well. So there we go, that's loose. And that's just going to be a deep 10 that I'm gonna use to take off this bolt right here. That's one of the mounting points. And then I think I'm gonna have to use the shallow 10 for this bolt right here, just because it's really tight. If I can even, yep. Okay, looks like it's nice and loose. Now I can just do it by hand. And now this one's gonna be the nastiest of all of them. It's kind of under and behind the pump. Yeah, it's right back there. So for that, you just need to get an extension and kind of play around with it for a while until you get it loose. And then you can try to get your fingers back there. Okay, there we go. I lost the bolt, but at least the pump is loose. Now it looks like I just gotta unclip this wire right here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna set the pump somewhere. That shouldn't be too in the way. And then if you feel like doing this 100% proper, you can also remove this part of the pump, which is secured by bolts right there and right there, right up to the engine block. But I remember that it wasn't that much in the way and it was hella hard to put it back, so I'm actually just gonna leave that there. So this next part, in my opinion, is both mentally and physically the hardest part of the entire job, and it's undoing all of the header nuts, bolts, whatever they are, because they are so hard to get to. They're an absolute pain, no question about it. You have to use a million different extensions. You have to go from both the bottom and the top. It's really annoying, but I'll try to guide you through it as much as I can. All of the header bolts are 11 millimeters with a little extension and a ratchet, and we're gonna switch around the extensions because sometimes you have to go behind the AC cord and sometimes in front of it. I'll show you what I mean, but this should get you through the job. Since it is very hard to guide you bolt by bolt on this, I will just show you the general idea. The headers are all over here. There's a top row of bolts and a bottom row. So to take out the top row, we'll go from the top, and you can again go behind the AC cord like this, or you can go in front of the AC cord like this. Both ways work. Each is good for its own bolt. And just keep trying out different extensions and you should eventually be able to get all of the bolts. Alrighty, there's one right here. Boom. Okay, so next you are gonna have to remove this oil pan right here. It's probably the simplest part here. There's just some basic screws that you gotta undo. And as you can see, mine is completely messed up. Don't even bother watching this part, but yeah, they're all just gonna be screws like that. And then the pan will come right off. Damn. The next step is to actually take off the entire exhaust system from the headers down. This isn't a very difficult thing to do, it's just a little bit annoying and the exhaust is quite heavy, but I'll show you guys how to do it. And I also don't have a muffler, which most of you hopefully have a muffler, so I didn't have to disconnect that. I don't remember how to do that. But I did leave a link in the description for a video that shows you how to undo the muffler as well. And since it's all one piece, as soon as you undo the last bolt, the whole thing will drop. And it's heavy. If my exhaust had a muffler, would I be able to do this by myself? Maybe, but without a muffler, for sure. So if this is your exhaust system, these bolts right here are gonna be the ones you wanna take out first. And all you wanna do is use a 13mm ratchet to hold this side down, or use a 13mm socket to undo it from here. Here are your header bolts, but as you can see, I don't have the stock ones in there, so I'm not sure what size the stocks are. If you take all the bolts out, you're basically gonna remove this little thing, and then these are just the exhaust gaskets, which mine are in terrible condition, as you can tell. And then the exhaust is loose. Very loose, very loose. Boop. Boop. now I will slide on right out. Woo. Okay, the next step after that is to take care of these two plates right here that are towards the back. They're also all just 13mm bolts. They just have to take out. There's 8 of them total. Ow! Ow! Alright, well, maybe don't do it the way I did it. My arm hurt really bad from that. Ow. Okay, exhaust is down, boys. Let's keep moving. My bad, I'll go ahead and apologize right now. This took forever, so I had to actually sleep and resume today, Friday morning, because it takes that long to get those stupid bolts out. Your next step is going to be again from the underside of the car. We're going to disconnect a bunch of stuff and basically kind of just lift the engine out a little bit so we actually have good access to the pipes and can get the stock headers back in there, because those cats, they're real chunky and that is a tight engine bay. Also remember, it's never a bad idea to have some PB blaster that you can put all over the bolts, because I think I might have stripped one of mine. Yep, it's rough out here, it's rough. This is a view of the front underside of the car, and what you want to do next is just take off this panel right here so we can actually get good access to everything. All you need is a 16mm. I'm going to use a deep end, I'm not sure if you'll actually need one or not, and then also a 1/2" drive ratchet. You know what? I had completely forgotten that after the last time I did this job, picked up one of these. Yeah, exactly. So this job is about to speed up a whole lot. Once you have all of the header bolts out and you have I think that's the subframe, what we just dropped. I'm not sure, I'm not 100% sure, but I'll pretend it's the subframe. Once you have the bolts in the subframe done, then all you need to do is just take out the passenger side engine mount, and then we'll be able to jack up the engine just a little bit, just enough to make room for our stock headers to go back in. Let's do it. Also, one thing you need to do that I completely forgot about is take out that O2 sensors out the headers. They have 4, and these catless ones have them all like down at the bottom. I don't have the tool anymore, so I'm just somehow gonna have to use a wrench. And this is the first O2 sensor I have to deal with. And what I have is an adjustable wrench. And so I'm just shoving it through the control arm right here. Then I'm gonna put it on like this, and then just like that. There we go. That's loose. And then there we go. One is done. And then we've got a few more to go. Next one is gonna be this one right here. This one right here. And then the last one's gonna be the one up there. More of them loose, so now I'm doing this one. And as you can see, my header's falling out as I do that. In fact, I have a feeling that it's about to fall right on me. And this one's loose. Yep. They're all loose. Perfect. Now we can take the headers out. Now let me just wiggle these and see if they come out. Oh. Oh. Okay. One of them's out. Let's see if this one comes out too. Nah, it looks like... Oh, wait. Wait for it. Wait for it. Hey! All right, we did it. And our gaskets can come out as well for an inspection. Sweet! Okay, now that I successfully took out my aftermarket headers, I will compare them side by side with the stock headers for you and show you why catless headers are all the rave. Okay, so right here you're looking at 2 full sets of headers for an E46 330. It's an inline 6-cylinder, so all 6 are on the same side. If it was a V8, then they'd be coming from each of the sides. And so these right here are the stock headers. And here's why it's not just about the catalytic converters. These big bulky things right here are the catalytic converters. They in themselves are great for filtering out some of the nasty chemicals inside your exhaust and also numbing the sound and rattle and everything else down a lot. But I actually didn't take them out because I didn't want cats. The reason I took them out is because I didn't want this bullshit right here. If you look at the aftermarket headers, you'll see that each cylinder gets its own separate exhaust coming out of it, and then they all meet up in this fat section right here and then go into this one tube and then into the exhaust, right? If you look at the stock header, each of the cylinders does get its own tube, but the tube is extremely narrow, so the airflow is automatically not as good. And guess what happens then? It goes into an even narrower section right here. Look at that, that's not even 1 inch thickness. And then all three of them get bottlenecked into this little section right here and then sucked through the filters, and at the end of the day, you have the worst airflow physically possible, right? And they're also like 2 to 3 times as heavy. So now that you see the difference, airflow, amazing. Airflow, absolute shit. If I could get these with cats, then I would. That would be my ideal go, is to get one of these with maybe cats that are just a little less aggressive. But for now, since I am driving to California tomorrow, I will be putting in the stock ones back. Okay, so now we're gonna remove the engine mount. The first step is you'll need a 16mm socket, and I have this weird contraption here just so that I can have a swivel, and I will toss that onto my pneumatic right here and get going. This is the passenger side engine mount, and this is the control arm right here. And the first bolt you're gonna want to take out is right here. Okay, so there's a nut. And now we will take out this bolt, that bolt, and then if we slide over here, we can perhaps see, yep, the other ones, that one and that one. Once you have all those undone, it'll kind of fall a little bit. Let me take that last bolt out. One more thing you want to undo is this ground cable right here. Then we can go ahead and take this out. Just kind of twisting. Okay. The engine mount is out. There she is in all her beauty. From the underside of the engine, this right here is the oil pan. So you're gonna jack it right here with a block of wood. What you're gonna wanna do is grab a hydraulic jack, grab a piece of wood, place a piece of wood under the oil pan, and remember this is once you've disconnected your engine mount, so make sure it's disconnected. And then you will start slowly jacking up the engine with everything connected besides the engine mount, and it should just go up a little bit, just enough to allow us to put in the headers. Okay, so once you have the engine lifted up a little bit, you'll see that there's a gap right here. So I will take a small piece of wood and I will shove it in this gap, just in case my hydraulic jack fails and the engine will sit down on this little piece of wood. Now that you're ready to put in the headers, come the gaskets. I personally would always suggest using brand new stock gaskets for stuff like this, but I have a special case. So this right here is a stock gasket for the headers of my E46, and it's been there since the car had 1 mile on the odometer, so like 90,000 miles. Then I took it off and I reused it because I was stupid for my catless headers. Now, the reason I'm taking it off and reusing it for the 3rd time is because I have to drive somewhere tomorrow and I can't wait for them to ship me a new one. And 2, because I'm gonna redo this job, in a few weeks. So what I'm gonna do is use the stock gasket with some gasket maker on it. I don't know if you're supposed to do that, but that's what I'm gonna do for both the flanges and the header gaskets. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. I ripped the heat shields off because they're annoying as hell when you're doing the job. This is the gasket sealer I'm gonna use right here. and I will take it and kind of just, I'm not exactly sure how this thing works. Oh God, that's gotta be the worst gasket ever made. Well, whatever, I'm redoing this job in a month anyway. You know what? Don't ever do this. I'm gonna cut this part of the video off right here, and I don't want you doing the same thing. Just wait and order the real ones. On that beautiful note, you are alone. This is it for the tutorial. I did actually finish. I was not trying to film myself putting everything back. And I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just go backwards. You do headers first, then you put the engine mount on, then you lower the engine, then you secure the engine mount. Attach that ground, put back your secondary air pump, put back your subframe, windshield wiper, fluid tank, put back your belly pan, put back your exhaust. Is that it? I think that's all we took off, yeah. So, not that bad. I'm sure we'll figure it out. If you need to play this video backwards, but thank you for watching. I appreciate the hell out of you. My hands are dirty as hell, but whatever. And yeah, Angel is once again quiet little baby. Now, I did mess something up because there's smoke coming out of my engine bay. Yeah. I am done with everything. I'm done with the header swap, done with everything on my car, and there's smoke coming out of my engine bay. Yup. So when you watch this video, at that point where I talk about gaskets and do the gaskets, listen to what I say and don't look at what I do, alright? And on that big, beautiful note, peace out everybody. I will see you in the next video, which I will actually be filming starting tomorrow morning. Bow! Ooh, that could have ended bad.